Hey, Flowmies, it's time for another episode of the ITF Flowcast. Today we have a great interview with Greg Reid, the new president of the IWCA, and we're going to learn about his origins into the window cleaning industry. We're going to see how he got involved with the IWCA. And you're going to want to listen to the end of the interview because I think he's breaking some news here. He's going to talk about some really interesting things that the IWCA has cooked up. So you're not going to want to miss this. But before we get to the interview, we just wanted to wish everyone who's going to be traveling to the IWCA convention, please have safe travels, enjoy the convention, learn as much as you can. I mean, a lot of stuff that's there in those classes can just really change your business for the better. So we hope you enjoy it, and we hope you enjoy this interview with Greg Reid. Flow on. Hey, Flowmies, this is Gabe from Gabe Spotless Window Cleaning. We got another edition of the ITF Flowcast, and we have a very special guest today. I've been wanting to speak to for a long time. We got Greg Reid for us from Sunshine Window Cleaning, and of course also the IWCA. So we look forward to getting to know you a little better. How you doing there, Greg?
Doing great. Thank you, Gabe.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for making the time to talk with us. I know you have a long history with the industry. So now when you get started, did you start directly with Sunshine Window Cleaning? Is that where you guys started that business, or how did you get involved with it?
Yeah, I started Sunshine Window Cleaning almost 29 years ago.
Wow.
And did you want to hear how I was started that?
So yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of a funny story. I'd moved to Savannah, Georgia, and I followed a gal that I was engaged to. Well, I'd asked her to marry me. And she said yes. She said yes after she got her master's degree, and it was actually in Savannah, Georgia, Savannah College of Art and Design.
Okay. So
we were going to college together at the time. So we moved to Savannah, and while we were living there, I was substitute teaching for a side job.
Okay.
And going to school part-time. And when she finished up her degree, we moved back to Boise. But while I was in Savannah, I started cleaning windows on the side with a guy I met at church. And he said, mm-hmm. Hey, you want to clean windows with me when you're not substituting? And I said, sure. So we would go out and clean windows at Hilton Head Island and all over Savannah. And it was a lot of fun, and I had a great time. And so when I moved back to Boise, I didn't think I would ever do windows again. Mm-hmm. I was finishing my degree in social work. And while I was in school, I decided, I'd love to start a business. Just business, for some reason, it just got a hold of me, and I thought about doing a juice business. Remember when juice was a really big deal?
Actually, I have a friend who started one, and he ran it for a couple of years, and then he got out of it. But
yeah, exactly. So I mean, it was really exciting, just starting it out, trying to figure out how I could make a business out of it. Well, what any good business guy would do is go to work for somebody, right? In the juice business,
experience
to see what I'm getting myself into. And so I did that, and about a month into it, they promoted me to manager. And I thought about it, and I said, I don't think I want to do this anymore. So that exact day, two kids came by, two guys, one named Tony and the other guy named Myro. And I walked outside to pay them when they were done cleaning the windows. And it hit me. I was like, I really enjoyed window cleaning. I should ask these guys if they're interested in working with me or me working with them. So I walked outside, paid them, and said, hey, what do you think about working together in the window business? And they said, you can have our business.
Whoa.
I go, really? What do you mean? And it said, we're actually gearing up right now to move to Eugene to blow glass and smoke grass. So they literally 2 weeks later moved to Eugene, Oregon, and left me with, it was like 6 or 7 accounts. One of them was a decent one. The rest of them were just small storefronts. And, but it kind of got my foot in the door.
Sure.
I created the name Sunshine with those guys. They helped me figure it out. We had a huge list, and we figured it out and weeded it down to Sunshine. And
weeded
it. Yeah. Weeded it. Nice. But so I just started going around all over downtown Boise and getting jobs here and there, and then started getting residential jobs. And that's how I got my start in the window cleaning business. And I didn't know what I was doing, took me a while and I never really took it seriously. I did other jobs, this was just a side job. And then one day I decided to take it seriously and had, guys working for me and decided to I better, if I'm going to do anything with this, either I use my social work or I go for the window cleaning. So I decided to be social and work in the window cleaning industry.
There you go. We have a very similar origin story because I
really?
was kind of the same thing. Yeah, I had a buddy who was a window cleaner, and he would take me once in a while just to go do scrub work. When he had a big job, I didn't know how to clean windows, but then same thing. My wife and I were talking, and we're just like, oh, we would really love to have a business where we could have control of our schedule, make better money, have freedom to do stuff that we wanted to do. And and so I ended up buying some accounts from my friend. And it was just little dinky storefronts, a whole bunch, probably about $600 a month worth of work, And then I bought them, and then maybe a quarter of them quit me right at the beginning. They took it as an opportunity to go find someone else. But same thing, I didn't hardly know anything. I mean, he gave me about 2 hours of training, and they did make a little video. They made a cool video. I really got to put this online one of these days because they made such a funny video of training for me. But I mean, 6 months into it, I mean, I was ready to quit. I was so frustrated, and I just didn't feel like I was doing a good job, And but he would come and check up on me every once in a while, and he was, he's like, Gabe, you gotta relax, man. See those people in there? Do you think they really care about this little drip right here? They don't know, they're working. They're, just focus on yourself. You'll get better. Don't sweat it, And that was good advice because I ended up, just a few months later feeling a lot more confident, But I had no intention. It just was one of those fluke things where I just wanted a business, and I just happened to know someone who had a business, window cleaning business, and it just
kind of fell into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's cool.
Now, how long did you work where you were just single operator? Did that take you a long time before you start hiring, or did you start hiring pretty quick?
I was a single operator for I don't know, a couple, 2 or 3 years, and then I would buy a house in the fall, and I ended up getting my real estate license and would do that on the side. So I'd buy a house in the fall, and then my guys and I had a couple guys working for me. This is early on. We would spend the winter flipping a house, and then we'd get it fixed up. I'd rent it out, buy another house. While I was fixing up the second house, I'd rent that out for until the 2 years was up, and then I could sell it for the tax benefit of having it for 2 years. So I did that probably 6 or 7 times. So that worked out pretty good. And that's how I kept my guys around in the winter. And
that's pretty smart.
Yeah, I mean, it was just I had to do something. Otherwise, you lose your guys, and then you have to start all over.
Right.
So I did that for probably, I would say I was just flopping around, didn't know what I was doing for probably 10 years. And, I had other jobs during that. And then I decided to really take it seriously. And when I did that, I started hiring people to manage my company. And really, that was the secret sauce to really growing to the next level. And I've talked to some other guys at ITF about this too. What are the steps you need to take really to go to that level to where you hire somebody, and that's a tough step to take, right?
Yeah, giving up control.
So hiring somebody to run the office, answer the phone calls, schedule jobs, find new jobs for us, that type of stuff was really the best step that we took. And then just kind of grew from there. And then exactly 10 years ago, I hired Janelle Davis.
Yeah.
And you know Janelle?
Yeah. I don't know her well, but I know who she is. Yeah, I know
she's coming to the convention in Orlando with me, so you'll have to get to know her better. She's great. So when I hired her as a window cleaner, and so she worked her way up, and within a year, she was in the office and showing me how to do stuff, and we started brainstorming every day and figuring out how to grow, automate everything, and that really is what blew up my business. And then she ended up going through college while she was working for me, got her degree in business.
Okay.
And that helped out even more. And I supported her through that, and she ended up getting a degree, and you applied all the skills she learned from school to the
Nice.
business. And then actually started doing a cleaning aspect of our business. She wanted to add that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, but she did.
She did.
It's worked out well. They kind of work hand in hand, and it's worked out well. So
Very
now
cool.
now I have three people on the management team, a guy named James, Mary, and Janelle. And those guys kill it. They do such a good
Very
job.
cool. Yeah. So how long would you say it was until you started hiring the office staff?
Well, like I said, that was about 10 years in.
Okay, so 10 years. You've been in business for about 30, you said, right?
Right.
So that's pretty soon. I mean, I know for me, I mean, it took me about 15 to, let's
Did
see,
it?
when I hired, yeah, about I'd say 17 years. I'm about 21 years into it almost. And it took me a long time before I trusted people. It's that mentality. Oh, no one knows my customers like me. I know how to schedule just right,
Yeah.
and you start realizing that you're devoting so much time to these small little details that you could have someone else who may not do it as perfect as you, but they could do it good enough. And now that
Well,
frees
and they
you
may
up,
not, and they may do it better.
and they might do it better. Exactly.
That's
Especially
what
over
I,
time. I mean, now, so I've had office staff for a couple of years, and now I am scared to schedule anything because I know they got their systems.
oh yeah,
They got their,
I don't schedule. I haven't scheduled in years.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, literally, I would say 4 or 5 years ago, I stopped doing estimates as much, and I
Mhm.
started so James and Janelle, they do all the estimates for me.
Nice.
They pretty much, they don't even need me really. But I think the guys nowadays have such a bigger step forward with the way technology has grown,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
literally, um, like we have, who responsive it is. We have our
Mhm.
own responsive it. I actually developed
Right.
it.
I remember you telling me about that. You told me at one of the conventions.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so, you know, our gal can sit there and walk them through this, and doesn't really have to
Nice.
know everything right off the bat, but she's way better than that now. I mean, she does it all. She's really good, Mary. But yeah, I mean, I think guys nowadays, they don't have to wait as long as we did
Yeah,
to jump forward if they want to take that route.
absolutely. Yeah. So I know for you, one of the things that's important for you is your family, and you wanted to make sure that as you grew, you still had time for your family. So, like, why don't you talk a little bit about that? How you've got that balance between things that are important to you and but still wanting to maintain the business and give it its proper attention.
Well, I'd say the number one thing that I enjoy about my business, besides my team, is having a little bit more time to spend with my family. My daughter, she's a little artist, and she's excited to, in a few years, she actually turns 14 this weekend, but her name's Avery, and she's my youngest, and
Uh,
she wants to start doing window painting.
oh wow, that's
So,
cool.
holiday painting,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
whatever
Uh-huh.
season. So all my accounts, she's going to start going out and painting them. I'm really excited about that. Then I have Julia, who's my middle kid, middle daughter, and she, I got her into hunting and got to take her out and shoot a deer for the first time a few years ago, and
Hmm.
turkey hunting and stuff, and she
Cool.
loves that.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's been really fun for me, and she loves it. And then my oldest son, his name's Skylar. He's 26. He worked for a cell tower company in town that actually they're all over the place. But he was tired of being away from his family, and I'd given him a book by Tommy Mello,
Mhm.
and he read it and wanted to open up a garage door business here in Boise. And so I called Tommy and I said, "Hey, what do you think about us starting a garage door business here? Could you help us out getting
Yeah.
started?" And he said, "Well, I'll fly you guys down here and see what you think." So we went down there and really enjoyed it. Got to learn the whole business, and he trained us and everything. And he trained Skylar, and
Hmm.
then said, "I'd be willing to open a one garage door in Boise if you would be involved." and I agreed to do it. And so I I facilitated basically A1
Oh, I
here.
gotcha. Okay.
So, and then I ran it until I could pass it over to Skylar. And so he took it over.
Okay. So he's doing it now.
Well, sort of. It's a long
Sort of.
story. He
Very cool.
actually ended up getting himself in trouble, but now he works for another garage door company.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess you use the skills, huh?
But he loves it.
Yeah.
He loves it, and that's what happened. So it's all good, and I really enjoy it. My wife Rachel and I get to spend 4 out of 5 days a week. We get the grandkids over at our house for about
nice.
3 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
So Duke and Michaela, Duke's 4 going on 5, Michaela is 8 going on 9. And so we get to spend a lot of time with them too. And that actually is the best. I love that.
Yeah, that's really cool. Very cool. Nice. Well, that's good that you're able to kind of arrange that. And I know that's I'm trying to build towards that myself. You know, I'm trying to get off the glass. I've got a really good crew right now. And right now we're just working on systems, and we're working on making sure that whoever comes in, you know, kind of they know what they're supposed to do. They know, you know, we have things in place, because I'm finding before, when I had 3 to 4 people who worked for me, it wasn't as hard to kind of train everyone and know that everyone was on the same page. Now that I'm up to 7 techs, I'm not always sure of who knows what, you know, and I assume that they know, and then they don't, and then the customers get upset, you know. So that's what we're really working towards right now. So yeah, you're definitely someone I'll be picking your brain as we grow and try to get things in order, because I same thing. I want to spend time with my family. You know, I've been doing this for 20 years, and you know, I just had this neck issue. I tweaked my neck, and I had to go to urgent care and get muscle relaxers, and I've been doing physical therapy. So I've been off the glass there, and just so I can heal. And it's just a sign. I realize I don't have that much, you know, that many more days left in me to actually do the work. So I've got to start molding the business to where it can continue on with me as running it, but not doing the actual work.
Working on the business and not in the business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
that's funny, because that's some of the things we did. You know, I always analyze the numbers, and we basically we have a whole spreadsheet that basically categorizes everything that our team members do, and it's a performance review basically, and it breaks down everything, and it populates out what we could pay them, what their max pay could be, and where they fall, where we should be paying them and stuff. So we do a lot of that too. And one of the things we did that really increased our PFAs, what we call them, was we went from 2-man. We were pretty much just all 2-man crews. We ran 2-man crews. That's what we did.
Yeah, that's what we do.
And we actually tried out running 1-man crews. So we kind of split the crews in half. So we had half of them 1-man crews, the rest are 2-man crews. And and we have a couple trainers. So a couple guys are always taking guys out to train, and those are some of the 2-man crews. But the 1-man crew guys bring in way more money for every hour that they work than the 2-man crews. And it benefits those guys because they're able to make more money for the company, which allows us to pay them more.
Right.
So, because it's all calculated out. And I show them, I said, here's how it works. Here's what we can pay for labor. And if you can bring in this and do this, I'll pay you more. I'm happy. I want to pay you more, because that means you're doing a better job and you're doing it. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah, no, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So, and that justifies extra trucks then.
Yeah. Some of the guys like to run 1-man by themselves. Other guys don't want to. So we kind of, cater to that. I heard it said the other day that if you had 2 guys, I don't know if I'm going to say this right. And let's say one guy was really good at something, and the other, or let's say one guy was really strong but not very fast, and the other guy was fast but not very strong. What would you think? You'd say, well, if the guy's not very strong, right? start putting him in the gym and getting him to work out. A guy that's really strong but not very fast, start having him do a lot more, being, running and stuff. Well, actually, no. Think about it. If the guy's really strong but not very fast, work on his strengths.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Have him keep working and doing that. And the guy's fast, right? Have him get it faster. That way he can be the best at what he's good at. So that's kind of why I brought that up. I heard that the other day and I thought that was pretty clever.
No, that's definitely our philosophy at our company. Is I really try to work on the strengths. And if someone is good in an area, and it doesn't mean that we don't try to get them to build their skills in other areas, but on the job, I want everyone doing what's their strength, and I try to pair them according to their strengths. One, it may be better in one area and the other one is another area in the crew. As much as we can. Sometimes it doesn't always, we can't do it, but I definitely believe in letting people do what they're good at and feel good about that. I got a young guy who came over from a commercial background, and he's an excellent poler. I mean, he knows how to use the pole. And he likes wagtail, and he's just really good at these really high, hard to reach windows, So I really let him do that because he's good at it. And he enjoys it. I mean, he just gets a kick out of it, So I give him an opportunity to work on that. And then, I got other workers that have various skills. Some are not as fast, and I let them work on like the tracks and work on the screens and the stuff that, not that they will never clean windows, because they do, when they need to, but I try to give them those jobs. But it's like you said, you're not trying to get the best all around worker. You're trying to get the best crew. So that means enhancing what their skills are already and taking advantage of those to get the most.
It's always nice to have a couple guys that are just good at everything. Right. And I have that guy, Brad Whitehall, and he's been with me 5+ years, I want to say. And he's going to be at the convention.
Oh, nice.
Him to the convention. He's such a great guy, man. The guy can do anything. And if there's a callback, he takes care of it. He could deal with the customers really well. He actually does a lot of our training. So when the guys are in the field, they have a training log and they have to log off that they've been trained on everything. And then one of my jobs is to review them. So I'll go take them out on one day and review everything they're doing and try to make sure they're doing everything safely. And that's not always what I see.
Oh, man.
But it's great because that's why I go out there, right?
Yeah, we just had a safety meeting, and I trained everyone. We got everyone OSHA 1910 certified. And then today on the job, I went to go check it out, and there's a guy running this ladder on like a corner of this. I'm just like, oh.
I know. I just had a guy that walked up on a roof, and he walked around to do the windows in front of the garage above the garage. And he just walked out on the edge. Oh. I said, "What are you doing? That is not what I've trained you. That's not how I've trained you." But it was great because it gave me the opportunity. I made him sign off again on that section. You're not allowed to be walking on a roof like that. So, and here's how you set the ladder up for these jobs. So anyway, getting in the weeds here.
No, it is. And, I think that's one of the things I miss being in the field as much. I felt like I'm a good trainer, and like I sent some guys to a job that I've done, 50 times maybe, and it's a big house and they got some tricky windows, but I have such an efficient route that we get this job done relatively fast. I mean, it's good. We have a good earnings on it, per man hour typically, but this is the first time I sent 3 guys there by themselves without me on site. And I tried to outline the directions as best I could in the notes of the customer, and I described what's the best way. And they ran long. They didn't finish it that day. We had to go back the next day to finish it. And I was just like, oh, that's one of those times I wish I was there, because I know if I would have just shown them once, then the next time they would have been able to do it. But unfortunately, I don't have anybody who was with me on that job last time, or at least no one who was available that day. So it's just one of those things where you got to try to, teach them how to be efficient. And I don't think even really good window cleaners who are skilled don't always understand efficiency and having a
Yeah, you
strategy
know, you
and
always
type
get
of
the guys
house.
who after everything they do, they wipe their squeegee, and
Yeah.
you know, you try to tell them, you know, just slap the window and fix
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
or they finish it and they have to towel, you know, every little thing. And I'm like, just take your time, and if you have to go back, do it again. Just you don't have to use your towel.
Yeah.
They'll go through like a truckload of towels a day, and you're like, so all those little things really matter.
Yeah.
What helped me is I used to do high rise. I left this part out of my story, but I had actually started a window cleaning business in Portland, Oregon,
Mm,
on top of my Boise, Idaho business.
okay.
So I kind of had this really fun time. I wasn't making a lot of money back then, but it was really fun. I'd fly to Portland, have my jobs there, and then fly back here. And I had crews in both spots. It was a lot of fun, and I got to do a lot of high rise window cleaning. So I had met a guy there. The same thing happened. He was moving to Vegas to deal cards and then do window cleaning piecework during the day. So he showed me the ropes, literally, when on high rise. And then he took off and he gave me a bunch of the equipment, and I started doing high rise there. And it was crazy because there, you know, when you're doing high rise, you don't use towels. Not on high rise. I mean, we didn't.
Yep.
You know, you learn to use the edge of your blade to edge things or whatever. And if you left a little streak, you could just take your squeegee and edge it right off. And sometimes it'd be raining and we'd be up there and doing it. But yeah, I learned a lot from that, and it's helped me out for a while.
That's interesting. Yeah. So it just seems like that would be counterintuitive to buy something so far away that you have to fly out to do work. I guess was it?
Oh, back then, flying to Portland from here was $39 each
Oh,
way.
wow. Okay, I got you.
And one of my best friends lived there, and so I had a place to live, and I had a van there. And then I had Hoffman Construction. They were like a big construction company, and they were building hotels all over the place there. So a lot of it, almost all my work out there was construction cleaning.
Gotcha.
So it worked out.
Very cool. So what was your entrance into the IWCA?
So I got into the IWCA years and years ago. Went to a few conventions, probably about 3 to 4. And then I just didn't feel like it was helping me at all. You know, I didn't really get a lot out of it. And it's mainly because I was so busy,
Sure.
right? When you're so busy and you don't have any money to spend, and you can't, and you're just struggling to get by, it was pretty tough. And that's why I think the IWCA now is really pivoted to where now it's basically, you know, if I was starting out, if I was in the same place when I first started, went to the IWCA, now it would have been so much more helpful. I would have got so much more out of it. It's more inclusive. It's more all about taking care of each other. And somebody just said this the other day. Who was that? Oh, I think Henry was talking about the IWCA, and he said that he sees the IWCA now as a brotherhood.
Nice.
Or sisterhood. You gotta.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying. And that's the way I've wanted it to be ever since I joined the board. And I feel like it's finally getting there. And trust me, I'm not taking any credit for that. I think it's been the board in front of me that's done they've done all the heavy lifting. But you know, but it's been really great being a part of the board and just seeing everything change. And we got rid of all the stuff that wasn't really important, and we started making the people and the members that are in the IWCA the important part of who we are, and taking care of them and taking care of their needs, and really just like talking to the guys all the time about, hey, how can we help you? Here's how we do it. Maybe, you know, with this, can we help you out? So it's become that, and I love that.
Yeah. Well, I gotta say, you know, I'm only in my 3rd year of membership, and I've seen the difference just in the 3 years. Just like you said, I think the inclusiveness. The first year I went, it was the Phoenix one, So I just showed up just to do the trade show. Wasn't gonna take any classes. I just wanted to see what I had, and I didn't know anybody. I walked in and no one talked to me. I'm just a stranger walking around. I just felt like, oh, well, this is just like I felt like I went to a mall. I went
Yeah.
to a window cleaning mall. That's how I
Yeah.
felt, and I left, and that was that. And then I went to the San Diego one, convention, and that one was a little bit, I still didn't know too many people, but I definitely felt a lot more camaraderie. That's where I first met Michael Draper. I met Fernando, from Pro Windows. Yeah, he's one of the mods now in IT. Nando, yeah, the Nandalorian, as we call him. But so now I started kind of making the connections, and then by the time that we went to Georgia, oh man, I mean that was my favorite one so far. I mean, I just felt
great. Yeah,
I felt even just the atmosphere and the vibe of the convention was different. You could just feel, like you said, that brotherhood feeling, or it was just warmth, and everyone was trying to help each other. You could see people who, when they saw new ones with the tags, they were going up to them and talking to them. And yeah, you could just, it's cool. It's cool to see the growth of the organization just in these few years that I've been in it.
Yeah, so Arizona, I think, was the first one that I kind of, I'm sorry, it was the one before. I think we did, what was the one before Arizona? Anyway, not to get into the weeds there.
I was going to say, I don't know.
So I'd done 4 or 5. I'd done 4 or 5, and then I stopped going for about 5 years. And then I went back, and I met Scott Aaronkrantz.
Mm-hmm.
And we really hit it off, and I thought, what a great guy. And he was on the board.
Mm-hmm.
So the next year he had mentioned, hey, you have a good thing going where you're at. And, we're looking to kind of build the route residential, commercial type stuff. And would you be interested in joining the board? And I said, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a great, board type. I don't really fit that mold. And he's like, I'll just try it out, just see what you think. So I was on some of the calls and whatever, and I kind of felt like, oh, I could add a little bit to this, or I could add a little bit to that. So I told him, I said, you know what, I'll join the board. I'll give it 3 years and see what happens. Well, the first year, I was kind of struggling along, and just started finding places where I could help out and where I could add something. And the next year it just grew, and the next year it grew, and I got to see, like Jason really do a lot of things that were great for the IWCA. And then I saw, Butch,
mm-hmm.
And then and he did, David, and then David and Butch did a lot of heavy lifting, to streamline where we are, where we kind of got rid of our management company,
right,
that was taking a lot of we were struggling with, because they weren't getting done what we kind of needed them to get done.
Mm-hmm.
And then Paul came in, and he did, his leadership through this whole thing has been paramount to where we are now. I mean, he really has, he took the heavy lifting and then just did it even more. I mean, he went all the way with it, and his leadership has made the IWCA so much easier. All the board members, it's made it easier for all the board members and to do what we are good at. It allows us to not get into the weeds of all this other stuff, because Paul's taking care of almost the harder things, which allows us to do what we love and give back what we can, right?
Yeah.
And that's added to the IWCA even more. So it's just kind of been this cohesive brotherhood of, board members that have just really gotten to thrive because of literally what Butch, David, Jason, and now Paul have done.
Yeah.
So
tell me, when the board meets, like, what are you guys like? What are your goals as a group? I mean, because I know you guys have a lot of decisions to make, and obviously, I think a lot of that, like you said, the heavy lifting has been done for the modern day changes. But when you guys meet, like, what is, especially like the president, like, what's your role to do with the group? What do you feel like that's what you're supposed to do? Like, what's your leadership role?
Well, literally lead the meetings, call stuff to action, whatever, take votes on what the committees. So the committees basically get together and they come up with ideas and changes and creative ways to benefit our membership as a whole. And then they bring it to the executive committee and the board as a whole. So once they've come up with this, then we'll, as a board, take a vote on it, and then we deliver it to the membership. Here's what we voted on, and here's how this goes. So we kind of vet what they bring in, and then it leaves room for discussion, and we try to just, basically we filter. I'd say we just filter.
Okay,
But
that's a good term. Yeah, filtering, kind of finding out what's important, right? Kind of screening.
But I mean, the glass committee is doing amazing things. They just put a glass guide together, which goes in depth on all types of glass surfaces, manufacturing, glass defects. I mean, you name it, it's all, and that's coming out really soon. They've been working really hard on that. Sheila's been heading that up, and Kurt, and they've done a really good job with that, and then you have the social media committee with Peter leading that.
Peter's doing really good. Yeah.
Peter's amazing, right? So he's doing a really good job with that. Scott's always there adding things to everything. He's great.
I got to say, when I went in San Diego, when I went to the banquet, again, I didn't know anybody. Michael Draper was the one who said, "Hey, just sit with me," because he was the first one that I kind of knew.
Yeah.
But you, Dave, and Scott really just made me feel welcome there. And none of you guys knew me. You didn't know who. You just knew I was a new guy, And you all just were so kind and just were like excited to see me, even though you didn't know me. And that was really cool. I really appreciated that warmth.
But I've been on the convention committee. That's been my favorite thing I've been on for years. One of my favorite things was being kind of chairing the convention committee, and one of the things I really wanted to focus on was new members, because of my history, which was I felt left out.
Right.
So when I got on the board, one of the things I started doing was, I created those wallets.
Yeah, I got one of those. Yeah.
You got one of those?
I do.
And so we had the new members. Do you have it?
Yeah. I was looking for it. I think it's over there, but yeah,
your wife has it.
She has, I'm sure.
No, but
he was the one. He went
doing things like
everyone.
Yeah. So doing things like that, I thought was really important, to say, hey, you guys are new here. We know you're uncomfortable, but we want to let you know that as a board, it was the board members that would be out there mingling with everybody that was new, to try to say, hey, listen, we're here for you. We want you to feel included. We want you to know that this association could do a lot for you. And if you need help, we'll kind of show you how it can help you.
Yeah.
So, and really the relationships you build in the IWCA are got to be one of the best things about the IWCA.
Oh yeah. Well, the networking that you can do, and the people that you get to know at the conventions, but just in general, I mean, just because a lot of the relationships I've cultivated weren't just at the convention. They started at the convention, but now with social media and especially Facebook and being able to message, I mean, I've made so many friendships, and just in business, contacts, where I can just call up and say, hey, I've got a question on this. I know you run your business this way. I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think?
Yeah.
And people are generous enough to just say, yeah, hey, this is what I did. This worked for me. This didn't work for me. It takes, 20-minute call. I mean, Greg, I mean, I would have died for that in my first 15 years of my business, because I was by myself. I was on my own, running it inefficient, losing money left and right, not knowing what I was doing. And now I have access to so many people who are 10 years ahead of where I'm at now, and have done all those things.
I'll add to that with the IWCA, and when you go to the trade shows, and you get to see all of these different software companies that show up at the trade show that are there to help you, and like House Call Pro is one of them.
Yeah.
And like Broadly and Review Service. I met them at the trade shows, and I started using them because of the relationship I built with them. And man, did that help my business. I mean, that was huge. And when you get when you're able to like establish a relationship with somebody at the trade show who's got this software that can really help your company out, and you don't know, like, it's amazing how much it can do for your company.
Yeah, it's true. I wish I could quantify how much my business has benefited from the things I've learned. Like you said, well, we use Responsibid, we use the customer factor. All of those were stuff that I met at the trade shows, you know, and being able to talk and taking classes. I got to know Megan Likes from the trade show as well, and she's been great in ITF, you know.
Yeah.
And just getting guidance from her. But yeah, like you said, I mean, there's just so many things. If you've got a problem with your business, there not only is there going to be a company there that can help you solve it, you're also going to have people who will give honest answers about how it does work for them, you know,
Right.
unbiased answers. And I think that's the part that's gold, because, you know, if you're a business owner, you're going to be fed all kinds of stuff from people who just want your money. And you don't always know for sure if that's going to be something that really will help you, or it's just you're going to be throwing money down the drain.
But yeah, you'll meet somebody at the trade show that does something, and then you'll meet guys that use that, their software or whatever, or their tools, right?
Yep.
And then you're like, oh, use that, cool, tell me about it, how's that work? And then you can apply it if you think it will work for your company. So it's really cool.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah. Well, I am excited for this next chapter. And I guess I really appreciated Dave's, you know, leadership. I appreciate Paul's leadership, and I think you're going to fill that role in nicely too, because you could, like you said, you could feel the inclusiveness grow as, you know, as it's gone on, and just that, and especially the introduction of the Spanish speaking part, that meant a lot to me. I'm not a Spanish speaker. I mean, I know a little bit, but it's not my first language. But I know what it's like to feel underrepresented, you know?
Yeah. I mean, and George has been in the forefront of that for years, and that's been neat. And then this year with bringing Luis and Nando to the board, now it's a powerhouse. It's going to happen. I mean, they're already, and then we're working on international membership now. We have a ton of international interest, and that's starting to blow up. So we actually just created a international program, and we want to start doing chapters of the IWCA throughout the world. And so it really is going to develop into what our name implies, an International Window Cleaning Association. And that's kind of where we're looking. You know, we're looking at the end, and then we're working backwards for that. So it's really cool. But I do want to bring up the IWCLF, the International Window.
I wanted to ask you about that, because this is going to be a game changer. So why don't you please tell us about this? Is a Legacy Foundation. We want all the Flowmies to learn about this.
So the Legacy Foundation, this is, like you said, the game changer, I think, for our association. So when I first got on the board, you know, probably the second year I was on the board, maybe the third, we were struggling financially a little bit because of our management company was just sucking us dry. And I was like, man, why are we struggling? You know, why are we struggling? You know, this association is so great. And it was stifling what we could do for people, right? We were just like, how do we cut costs? What are we gonna do? So I was like, why don't we ask people to donate to the IWCA through their wills and trusts, or you know, like the ex-presidents, you know, the 30 or so ex-presidents we've had. Why don't we have them add us as one of the where they leave a little bit of their money when they die? Beneficiaries. Thank you. So I started bringing that question up, and then I was like, okay. And then I figured out that we couldn't raise money. You know, if you were the giver, it wasn't a tax deductible gift, because we were established as a 501c6, and a lot of associations are 501c6s. It's pretty normal. However, if you were a 501c3, you have to meet certain parameters to be a 501c3, government guidelines. And I looked at them, and we met 3 of the 6 reasons you can be a 501c3: education, safety, training. I think were the three, I can't remember, but there were three big ones that we met. And so I started talking to Paul and about, how do we do this? And so we started meeting with our tax advisors and our basically a couple business advisors. And we came up with the fact that we could actually create a 501c3. We couldn't change the 501c6 to a 501c3, but we could build a 501c3 that mirrored the 501c6.
Gotcha.
So nothing really has to change, as you still have the same structure to simplify it. And they both go hand in hand, but they work together as one. So what the 501c6 offers us is the ability to raise money, and for the giver, it's tax deductible now, and that is now a done thing. So the International Window Cleaning Legacy Foundation endowment is now real, and I actually signed off on my life insurance already. Boom. So that was the first one I want, since it was kind of my idea. But then Paul took it over and found that the Susan Harwood grant is out there. And if you have an alliance with OSHA like we do, it's a slam dunk. So the Susan Harwood, this is where it gets big. That grant allows us to do training and education for free.
Wow. That's awesome.
Now, and not just to members, to anyone.
Yeah.
So now we've been ramping up our training. We have a certified training program now where we can get guys to become certified trainers, and then they can go out and train on behalf of the IWCA.
Yeah.
To get people,
And Kevin posted on that in ITF, and I think we got to keep building that up, because I don't think people appreciate what the benefits of that are, because, like you said, you could be a big company or you could just be a single guy. You can get the safety training that you need to ensure that you go home and see your family at the end of the day.
And the goal is to have, zones, or have, as many zones as we can, so the traveling expense is lowered. And then we have guys that will actually go out to you and be able to train you, but we'll have to have enough people to make that work. But we set it in motion, and it's coming. So we're working hard to get that going. It's pretty cool. I'm really excited about that. So there's a lot of things going on. And then the money that we raise as a nonprofit through endowment or through wills and trusts, or just in-kind giving or donations, that money now can be used for things like what you guys have done at the ITF, where somebody gets injured on the job or gets cancer, whatever. We haven't figured out the form yet. We're working on that, but some sort of basically they can fill out something,
like an application,
send it to us, and then we can actually gift money to them to help support their needs. And I'm really excited about that.
That's really interesting. See, one of the things where we're at right now with ITF is, we're like, do we incorporate? Do we become an entity? And are we going to become a nonprofit? What's our next stage? And we're there, but we're just not quite there yet, where we're ready to do all the work that's necessary. Because once that happens, that's a lot of work, and now, we already work a lot already, and we're just mods. That's all we are. And we do a lot of organizing. We do everything on our own time. And a lot of times we're spending our own money, and so we would love to have some type of entity where, just from sales, we could advertise on the podcast and get income from there, where we could have there, but I'm wondering if there's something, because ultimately the goal with any money that we raise, we want it to go to education, and we want it to go to philanthropy, helping someone, a window cleaner who's in harm. Wondering if there's a way we could incorporate that fundraising efforts into the legacy, as opposed to, us forming we may have to do that anyways, depending on where we go. But that's exactly what we're looking to do. We want to have a fund that we know will be used to help fellow window cleaners who are hurt, or have expenses that they can't afford because of illness or something else. but we'll have to get more discussion on that and see if there's something
You
we
know, you
can.
guys are so aligned with the IWCA. It's almost like you are the IWCA.
Pretty
I mean,
much. I mean,
you're pretty much like a leg of the IWCA for what
yeah.
you guys do. I mean, I like when you guys, when what was the gal's name that lost all of her equipment stolen out of her truck?
Oh yeah, that was the Dream Clean. Yeah, it was Kane and Brooke. Yeah, from
When
California.
that happened and you guys stepped up and then reached out to, like, I think Tucker donated some stuff.
Yeah, Sean
Sean,
did.
who
He
else?
replaced any Tucker equipment that they had purchased from him.
Right. I
I mean,
mean,
it was amazing. It was
that's
just
pretty. I
amazing.
mean, that kind of stuff needs to continue.
Yeah.
That's what brings us together, right?
Yeah, and you know, and the thing too, Greg, the mods had very little to do with that, other than we made the announcement, and the people of ITF were the ones who stepped up and said, "I have this, you know, could you use it? I've got this piece of equipment, I'll send it to you. Oh, I've got some money, let me just send it to you to help you get a car or get another truck, you
Right.
know." And it just, like you said, within 24 hours, they had enough because they were worried they were going to lose a week of work, you know, and they weren't going to be able to pay their rent. And within 24 hours, they didn't miss a day of work. They got the money to pay, you know, I mean, it's just amazing, you know. And as mods, we all we did was set the stage and said, "This here's the need," and everyone else did everything. And I think that's what makes ITS special, is that there's people who are willing to help when there's a need. And we, like you said, we want to encourage that. You know, we want to make sure they feel that their efforts are not in vain, that what they're doing, the energy they're putting forth, is actually going to a place that actually helps people.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as we can maintain that and make sure that we are above board to them and as transparent as we can, that we're not profiting individually, that'll continue to be sustained. And that's what we continue to work for, you know, work to do.
I totally agree with that, and I think that that's one of the reasons why I'm a big ITF fan. You know,
Yeah. Oh, we're glad to have you.
yeah. I mean, hopefully you see me putting stuff on there all the time. I'm always loving the page. I really don't do Facebook. I try to stay away from Facebook a whole lot throughout the day, but usually once a day I get on there and I'll just scroll through and comment and try to help people out and
Yeah.
say whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. No, well, we appreciate you being a part of ITF, and we really appreciate all the work that you do with IWCA, you know, and we know that you'll be a good president, and you're gonna, yeah, I know you got a lot of work ahead of you, but you got the
Well,
right quality.
I was actually nominated the president. I was actually confirmed as president, I think January. So I'm
Yeah,
already the president. And so because of COVID, right, we had to
right.
do a pivot so that January, instead of being at the convention, right, it was a board meeting. And now, so I'm already in it. But another great thing about being on the board, and I just have to say this before we go, is, you know, it it forces you to grow. I mean, this is not my skill set.
Yeah,
Like being a board leader, it's not my thing. I mean, this gavel, you know, like stuff, that's not me. I'm more of a casual, unstructured um, type of guy. But it's fun for me because guess what? I've gotten to do something that I wasn't very good at, and it's helped me to grow. You know, and then getting in front of people. I'm great with small groups, but in front of big groups, it's not my thing. So it's helped me to grow on to that too, like, you know, as on a personal level. I'm just talking
yeah,
about personal level.
yeah, yeah,
So another thing, you know, you just do it, just go for it, you know,
yeah.
and try to, and you prepare and do the best you can. You know, other people are better at it than you, but you know what? It doesn't matter. You're doing the best you can. That's all we ask for everybody on the board.
Well, you know, if I may make an observation, I think you're kind of an ideal president for the IWC, because window cleaners are not the corporate type, right? We're not the polished type, generally speaking.
Mhm.
So if people who are independent and kind of have their own way, and maybe not, you know, super, you know, buttoned up and everything, and they see someone who is the leader of an organization and they're very proper, and again, nothing wrong with being that if that is your personality and you become the president. But I think a presidency like yours, you provide a leadership with a personality type that I think a lot in our industry we can
Match
relate
with.
to, and we can say, hey, yeah, you know, this is a guy that is friendly, he's down to earth, if he's got something to say, I think I'll listen to it, as opposed to someone who they feel like is out of their reach or maybe doesn't understand the things that they're dealing with,
I
and
appreciate you saying that. I mean, I never even thought about that. I've
yeah.
always felt like, gosh, Christina, do you know Christina? She's been on the board for years.
I think I've met her, but I don't know her very well. Yeah.
We're very similar. We're down to earth people. And she was really concerned about how, she would be I think she would have been an amazing president. And I still think she will. And I hope she decides to do it someday. But, she was concerned that she wouldn't represent the presidency because of that. And so I appreciate you saying that. And I hope she hears this because, that means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for all the work and especially for making time for this interview. I know it was been a busy day for both of us and I appreciate it. I'm glad we got to talk, but thanks again, Greg. I appreciate your time. Please tell your family hi for us too.
I will.
All right, buddy.
Right now.
And thank you, Flowmies. You guys have a great week and thanks so much for listening.